Arizona State Fire School. I would ask that all stand for the posting of the colors by the Mesa Honor Guard. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning. My name is John Rowlandson, the Assistant State Fire Marshal for the State Fire Marshal's Office, and one of the co-coordinators, commanders, whatever they call that, of the annual State Fire School. I'd like to have Ron Dennis, Chairman of the State Fire Training Committee, State Fire Marshal Dwayne Pell, and Mesa Fire Chief Harry Beck start this way for some official welcomes. First is Ron Dennis from the Arizona State Fire Training Committee and Lake Havasu City Fire Department.
Thank you, John. Welcome to the 30th Annual State Fire School, and I think it'd be appropriate to recognize what an awesome color guard posting that was, and also the band. We have an incident strategy for this weekend, and it goes as follows. We commit to you that we will provide a safe working environment for all persons in the fire school, instructors and students alike. We will promote incident safety through quality training in every session. We will provide quality educational experience for firefighting, incident management, and emergency response personnel, and a good networking opportunity that you will all experience as well. And we will increase coordination, cooperation, and communication with state, local fire, federal, and private firefighting agencies. That is our commitment to you each and every day. There's a few people I would like to recognize. First of all, the 32 or 34 fire training committee members who have worked every single month of the year since March, and every other month of the year prior to that, after last year's school, to put this school on. Could you all please stand up, please, so you can be recognized? There are also some other folks that are helping us quite a bit this year, and thanks to Chief Burdick and the Glendale Fire Department, we have a group of young folks in their cadet program, and if you could just step forward so they could see you in these orange vests, we call them conference ambassadors. In addition to helping us with our logistics, they will be guiding you to your classrooms and doing whatever is necessary to help us achieve these goals that I just read for you. Thank you, Chief Burdick, and thank you, the Glendale Cadets. We really appreciate you coming. They will be here all weekend helping us out, and some of them probably delivering water off-site to you folks as well. At this time, I would like to introduce State Fire Marshal Dwayne Pell for the official welcome for the Fire Marshal's Office.
Thank you very much. Again, it's my pleasure to welcome everybody here to the 30th Annual Arizona State Fire School. And for somebody like myself, it's like old home week. I saw Denny Compton, Carol Gross from the city of Phoenix, Harry Beck, the chief now. So it's kind of fun to come and renew old friendships. Again, our thanks to the Mesa Fire Department for all of their help, the Honor Guard, the youngster cadet program from Glendale, as Ron mentioned. As the State Fire Marshal's Office is a state agency, it hadn't been a whole lot of fun the last couple of years. If you read the newspapers, you know the budget problems facing all the state agencies, particularly our office. In years past, all the deputies would all sit over here in the corner. We filled up about 3 rows. And now we're down to just about a row. And I'm going to ask all the deputies, fire marshals, just stand up and let us acknowledge these guys travel all over the state on a constant basis. And I noticed this morning also, I think we may have more former deputies sitting in the audience than we do current. Jim Giles over here, Bonnie Howe, Ron Pope's supposed to be here somewhere, so it's, hey, there he is, back there. Ron Pope is here. So I think we do have maybe within one or two of all of our old guys come back for another visit. The fire school is a very, very important part of our involvement in the fire service. So again, we appreciate all of you taking the time to come down to Mesa, spend 4 days or so. Hopefully when you go back home, you'll know a lot more about the fire service than you did when you got here. That's what it's all about. Again, thanks to the Fire Training Committee for all of their work and effort that goes on year-round. It doesn't just happen at fire school. These individuals meet on a regular basis all year. So again, welcome everybody here. Publicly, I want to thank John Rowlandson for the job that he's basically been thrust into and doing a hell of a job, and we appreciate it. Again, welcome everybody. Have a good time. Enjoy your stay. Good to see you, Chief Harry Beck. Good to see you.
Thank you, Dwayne. A couple of housekeeping items. One is every session and every one of your coordinators in your classes will be delivering you whatever administrative information, but in addition to that, a safety message for your classes, especially those of you doing skills classes. Please be accountable for those safety requests. We have a goal of sending everybody home with all of their limbs and not having to have visit a hospital and not being sick or ill or otherwise injured. A couple of announcements from the hotel. First of all, no glass anywhere near the pool by anybody. If there is, the hotel has told us they'll shut the pool down. So those of you who use the pool responsibly will probably not be happy with someone who takes glass beer bottles or pop bottles. So please, no glass anywhere near the pool. Secondly, no fire alarms pulled unless there's a fire. The hotel has informed us they will prosecute. So, not to mention the poor publicity that Mary Camelli will have to handle if firefighters are publicly prosecuted for pulling fire alarms in a hotel. So, please. At this time, I would like to introduce Chief Harry Beck, who probably does not have the authority to get you out of jail as the fire chief, but he sure will give you some good words of welcome.
Thanks, Ron. And after all that, have a great time by the pool. So I'm sure everybody will be fine. It's certainly our pleasure, City of Mesa and Mesa Fire, to host this 30th Annual Fire School. The turnout is tremendous as usual. Just reflecting on this event over the last couple of days, 30 years is a long time. And I can remember when my father and an old guy named Tom Sawyer, that some of you may know or not know, were ornery enough to be involved in this when it first started. I think Cy Ringel was one of the first training coordinators for this, and the outreach programs. And then several years later, I was involved as well. Several of the senior members of our fire service have been involved in this event because it is the single most important training event, I think, for the state of Arizona in terms of us all staying on the same page, protecting our customers, and protecting each other. I hope that you all take a moment and reflect on sort of the legacy that's gone into developing such a quality fire school, and some of you step forward to take the future on as a responsibility. The next 30 years are only going to get better, and I'm very happy, again, to be able to host this conference here in Mesa, and hope everybody has a great time. Thanks a lot.
One of the things that we try to do every year is honor those who have fallen in the past 12 months. And the Mesa Honor Guard has put together a ceremony with some assistance from Surprise. And we would ask now to make sure that the center aisle is clear and maintain some reverence as I call upon again for our Fallen Firefighters Memorial Service.
It is with pride that this year that the Mesa Fire Department Honor Guard, along with Surprise Fire Department Honor Guard, are here to conduct this memorial for those who are not with us anymore. Please join us now as we remember those and read those names of the fallen of this last year.
Steve Alley, Phoenix Fire Department and Arizona State Fire Marshal.
Bob Barnes, Casa Grande Fire Department.
Max Bodie, Clarkdale Fire Department. Elmer Dykens, Lake Havasu City Fire Department. Henry Jessens, Phoenix Fire Department.
William D. Landford, Buckeye Fire Department.
Warren Lahone, City of Yuma Fire Department.
Russell LaFard, Phoenix Fire Department.
Melvin Billy Lilly, Williams Volunteer Fire Department.
Judith Medina, Salt River Fire Department.
Alva K. Mac Mabrayer, Kingman Fire Department.
Charles Mitchell Jr., Coolidge Fire Department.
Bob Murray, Golder Ranch Fire District.
Jack Newby, Bullhead City Fire Department.
Murray Robertson, Rural Metro Fire Department.
Arthur Sharp, Williams Volunteer Fire Department.
Roger Swick, Congress Fire District.
John Teague, City of Yuma Fire Department.
Claude R. Welch, Whitman Volunteer Fire Department.
J.R. Jerry Williams, Coolidge Fire Department.
And this year, unfortunately, the state of Arizona has suffered 2 line-of-duty deaths, and they are Randall Benito Jr., Bureau of Indian Affairs, Fort Apache Agency. And Richard Glenn Lupe, Bureau of Indian Affairs, Fort Apache Agency. The history of firefighting is closely associated with the ringing of the bell. It was the bell that signaled the start of duty, and through the days and nights, each alarm was sounded by a bell. It called them to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow man. And when the fire was out and the alarm had been completed, it was the bell that signaled its end. Dean Alfang wrote, and I quote, "I do not choose to be a common man. It is my right to be uncommon. I seek opportunities to develop whatever talents God gave me, not security. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dole. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the fulfillment of the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any earthly master, nor bend to any threat. It is my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid, to think and act myself, to enjoy the benefits of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done." End quote. We seek strong words and symbols that give us a better understanding of our feelings when we experience a loss. And we use these symbols and words to reflect the devotion our brothers and sisters had for their duties. The sounding of the bell, a special signal of 3 rings, 3 times each, represented the end of their duties and that they were returning to quarters. And now, for all Arizona firefighters who have completed their tasks, their duties well done, they have given their best. For our brothers and sisters, they have gone home.
Thank you, Mesa Honor Guard, for thank you for that sobering and outstanding ceremonial event, and thanks, Chief Beck, for supporting them. One other major thank you I need to make, because I would be remiss, but this year the Arizona Fire Training Committee worked at a level of partnership with private industry that we have not worked before, and the vendors in the state of Arizona have stepped up and helped support many things that's going on with this school, including the coffee breaks that you'll be taking and a number of other events. Dan Matlick from United, Tom Harley and Chad Anderson from First In, AAA, Canyon State, and I do believe we've even had Alan Curtis step up and other vendors, and they have helped us tremendously, and there'll probably be more on that later, but we do really appreciate the partnerships we formed this year in sponsoring the school, and thank you very much. The other thing I want to mention is part of our incident action plan, and we don't have to belabor it, but the weather report for this weekend is hot. Between 100 and 110 degrees you can expect if you're out in the field. My good friend and mentor over here, Chief Dennis Compton, has stood on this podium many times and told every one of you folks who have been here before that firefighter injuries and deaths are predictable. So the prediction that we should be able to make this weekend is, if you don't drink water and hydrate, you could be seriously injured. So I will pass on a message that is pounded into my head and every firefighter in my organization by our health and safety officer, Rich Goodwin, and he starts every year in the beginning of the spring, and he sends this message every day to us: hydrate or die. So please drink water. If you run out of water, the coordinators will notify us. We'll get more water. But with the temperatures the way they are going to be as we see them with the prediction, we do not want any heat injuries. So please, please hydrate. I would like to now introduce John Rollinson again, and we'll start with continuing ceremonies.
Thank you, Ron. At the 25th Annual State Fire School, that would be 5 years ago, the committee first formed what they call the Arizona Fire Service Hall of Fame. And since that time, nominees have been reviewed and members chosen to serve in the Hall of Fame, to be honored for the service that they've done to the state of Arizona. And at this time, we will have the Hall of Fame honorees. But we start first with a close friend and colleague, and every one of us in this room was a benefactor of the work of Steve Alley. Steve had a long career with the Phoenix Fire Department and with our office, the State Fire Marshal's office. And unfortunately, he left us this past year, and a great void was formed. We're still trying to fill that void. Steve was inducted into the Hall of Fame by special action of the Fire Training Committee just prior to his death. What I'd like to do now is call upon Dwayne Pell to reflect on the life of Steve Alley and the meaning that it had to everyone in this room and to all Arizona firefighters, past, present, and future.
Thank you very much, John. I forgot a couple of things when I was introducing all of the deputy state fire marshals and all the former deputy state fire marshals. And I did, as normally happens when you start naming names, you forget a few. So now I know the formers do outnumber the current members. And Mel Sorensen, long time, and these guys were all friends of Steve's too, so I think it's appropriate to recognize Mel Sorensen, Bob Costello, Dick Bingham, and Woody Smith. They're also former deputies that worked in our office with Steve. Sometimes it's difficult when we lose a friend that is really more than a friend. Steve Alley was active in the fire service for over 30 years. And I've known him since the day he came to work at Phoenix Fire Department. And we crossed paths many times in other positions that we were involved with. The firefighters, Local 493, Steve was a member of the Board of Trustees. Later on, he became the secretary of the Professional Firefighters of Arizona. Then he became a battalion chief and ultimately a division chief with the City of Phoenix Fire Department. And our paths crossed again at the Phoenix City Council when I was there. I looked out in the audience one day and there was Steve Alley sitting there with his full dress uniform on a loaned executive program to the Phoenix City Manager's office. A few years after that, I was appointed to State Fire Marshal, and he was the #1 ace guy in the whole place was Steve Alley. So that friendship goes back, like I say, over 30 years. Now, Steve and I used to travel all over the state, just he and I. I hate to say how many beers we drank along the way. And he'd say, well, we got to stop at such and such fire department, talk to the chief over there. And I said, where in the hell is it? I was born and raised in Arizona, and we were going places that I didn't know even were existing. And he knew everybody. Everybody knew Steve. That was just, we'd go in a little fire district office somewhere out in the middle of Arizona, and he would know the chief, and the chief would know him, and he'd introduce me, and it just went on like that for a long time. So his impact on the fire service was exceptional, and more so than a lot of people probably realized what kind of impact Steve Alley did have on the fire service, particularly in the area of training and enforcement of codes and so forth. He was a top dog on that. I've thought about some things, how to say some of these things without being disrespectful, but you know, if you knew Steve, you know it wouldn't be Steve Alley was known affectionately as the Golden Okie, and I emphasize affectionately, because he used the term himself many times. I've heard Mel use it a lot, and in fact, we just called him the Oak. That was his name to most of us in the office. And he always referred to his Okie way of doing things. And he would always get them done, and they'd always be done well. As I mentioned earlier, Steve and I had traveled a lot around the state. And when you work for the state, you don't get to stay at the fine hotels around. You have to stay at the cheaper ones, Motel 6s and so forth, where you can get a room for two for $14.95 or something. So Steve and I would we'd pull our chairs out of the room and sit out on a patio. He would always have a bathtub full of beer. And he'd say to me, you ready? And I'd say, no, I'm fine. I still got one. He'd bring one anyway. So I'd sit there when he wasn't looking, and I'd pour one out in the flower bed or whatever was behind us. We killed more flower beds and hedges around the state pouring beer in there, and he'd still keep bringing them. And we learned to play golf together, Steve and I. And we never were very good at it, but we had a hell of a time doing it. And we'd always take our clubs wherever we went. And Steve was an ace scorekeeper. He knew everybody's score. It didn't matter if there was 2 foursomes or 1 foursome. He knew if somebody, he said, what was your score? And if you said a 6, he said, how about those other 2 you had? One time we were playing at a golf course out in Thunderbird, the old Thunderbird golf course. Steve hit a ball in a sand trap, and he couldn't get out. He was just flailing away in that trap. And I said, Steve, just pick it up and, throw it out. No problem. He says, no, you got to count your strokes. So I said, well, what'd you get? He said, I got 13 on a par 3. And that's the way he played golf, and that's the way he did everything. So again, it's just it's a time, I think, to reflect for somebody like myself and others that knew Steve very well, to talk about some of that good old days, because we miss him. There's hardly a day goes by that his name is not talked about. And I had an opportunity to talk to Steve several times towards the end. And it was tough, it was tough for everybody, obviously. But he did have time to prepare. And I know Steve Jr., I see Steve sitting out here. I know they went around and they took care of all of his arrangements and picked out his cemetery plot. Steve told me, we went and picked out my cemetery plot. He said the guy tried to sell me a plot over by a tree so I'd have shade in the summer. He said, what the hell do I need a shade tree for? But that's just the way he was. There was a memorial service in Phoenix for Steve, and there a handout that was given. I kept it and still have it. And I'm going to read just a couple of the lines on the back of this. I think they're appropriate. It says, when I come to the end of my journey and I travel my last weary mile, just forget, if you can, that I ever frowned. Forget unkind words I have spoken. Remember some of the good I have done. Forget that I ever had heartaches. And remember I had loads of fun. Forget that I've stumbled and floundered and sometimes fell. Remember I have fought some hard battles and won at the close of the day. Then forget to grieve for my going. I would not have you sad for a day. But in summer, just gather some flowers and remember the place where I lay. And come in the shade of the evening when the sun paints the sky in the west. Stand for a few minutes beside me and remember only my best. And I thought that was really appropriate words for somebody. So, again, I thank, first of all, the training committee for recognizing Steve in the Hall of Fame, even though he didn't quite make, I told John Rowlandson, I said, he said, the training committee inducted Steve into the Hall of Fame, and I said, man, is he going to be pissed? He didn't think anybody that worked for the fire marshal's office or anybody like that ought to be recognized because we're just doing our job. I said, if he was here, and I think some of you guys know that, he would have said exactly that. I don't want to do that. So again, it's just an honor for me to say a few words on Steve's behalf, and I appreciate the opportunity. And again, to see Steve Alley Jr. and Georgie, thank you for being here. And again, we all miss Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. I'd like to call now on Ron Dennis to present the remaining Hall of Fame honorees for the year 2003.
Everybody doing okay? We're going to do coffee in a little bit. Also, I need to inform you the Friday night extravaganza, which includes the car show and the apparatus show and everything out here in that parking lot by the Orleans restaurant on the corner of University and First. You need to have all your cars out of that parking lot before Friday afternoon so they can set up for that. So please do that. And we'll ask our coordinators to also keep reminding students in the classes to do that too. The Arizona Fire Service Hall of Fame was started a few years back, and it's reserved for those folks who have significant contributions in the state of Arizona. We have a nominating process. We have a group of people who review the nominations against a list of criteria, and then they select folks based on that criteria and their merits. And we have a number of Hall of Famers from previous years still serving on the training committee and in the audience today. So would all of you who are current Hall of Famers please stand up? Chief Compton and Jim Birch and Gary Ells and all the Ben Owens. This year we have 4 inductees, the first of which was just honored by Dwayne Pell. And it is my distinct pleasure to introduce these 3. I'll introduce them and give you a little bio, and they can come up here, and then we'll bring them all 3 up on the stage as I introduce them. And at the end of all 3, we will give them their awards and give them an opportunity to speak. The first Hall of Fame recipient for the 2003 30th Annual Fire School is retired from the Phoenix Fire Department Public Education Program with 24 years of service. She has been very instrumental with the National Fire Protection Association Education Committee. She was the Phoenix Senior Companion Program Coordinator, Area Agency on Elder Abuse Prevention Subcommittee, Arizona Fire and Burn Educators Association charter member. Her state and national impact, she traveled and taught fire and life safety programs for the NFPA and then was instrumental in the pilot NFPA Learn Not to Burn program. I remember going to the California Fire Training Officers Conference back in the 80s when it was in Fresno, when it was like really fun, and she was there every year spreading the public safety message, and they picked up a lot from her there. She was part of the team that produced Solutions 2000 and Beyond Solutions 2000, a member of the Technical Advisory Committee of the NFPA, Senior Safety Program, Remembering When, the Citizens Advisory Board, and a Senior Outreach Program. She's taught locally and nationally on how to begin a youth fire setting intervention program, senior safety, and coalition building, as well as others. She's developed numerous community outreach programs for the Phoenix Fire Department to high-risk populations, including preschoolers, seniors, youth fire setters. She founded 2 boards that were instrumental in assisting grant applications, and she was also instrumental in providing a panel for a youth fire setter program, providing educational opportunities for psychologists as well as treatment options for youth fire setters. In addition to all of her community impact, she has been a friend of the fire service in the state of Arizona and outside of the Arizona. She has had legislative impact in the area of no smoking when using oxygen. Duh. But in Arizona, we have to have legislation for those kinds of things. And she has served on interview boards for various departments, staffing public education programs. It's my distinct pleasure to honor Carol Gross into this year's Hall of Fame. And if you wouldn't mind coming up here. I saw her earlier. Is she here? Is Carol here? Oh, Carol. Not yet. I'll get some of the other two up here, and then we'll do all that.
They sit down.
No, yeah. Thank you. Our next honoree is a retired chief of the Glendale Fire Department and the California Fire Service as well, with 39 years total service. He served on various committees in the state of Arizona, and some of his national and state impact have to do with certifying firefighters as EMTs, putting them on engine companies. He implemented the attack truck concept in Glendale a number of years ago, providing medical and rescue units at fire stations. He was instrumental in getting funding for firefighters to attend paramedic training, instrumental in developing fire detector placement program and fire safety education program in the city of Glendale. He also was instrumental in placing paramedics on all Glendale fire engine companies after he did the EMT thing, and worked to develop the first automatic aid response program with the city of Phoenix. The program has led to a program of the closest unit responses to emergency calls, which is now a valley-wide system. He helped to develop the Care Bears program in the city of Glendale, had numerous first aid education programs impact in the state of Arizona, and worked with legislators Diane McCarthy, Howard Adams to sponsor the first paramedic legislation in the state of Arizona, which had to be back in the 70s. It is my distinct honor to recognize retired Fire Chief Gray Crabtree. Our third honoree this year, in addition to being a personal friend of mine, is a tireless fire service worker. He's chief of the Summit Fire District, which was formerly the Timberline, Fernwood, and Downey Park Fire Districts combined. He has 25 years in the fire service. He served on the Arizona Ponderosa Fire Advisory Council, the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, Arizona Fire District Association, past chairman of the Arizona Fire Training Committee, in which he's served the role that I'm serving now for 2 years. He organized the Arizona Wildfire Council, and they sponsored the first ever Arizona Wildfire Academy, which was held in March up in Prescott this year. He also has had a lot of educational impact through the Arizona Fire Training Committee and Arizona Fire Training Association, looking for alternative funding programs to address fire training in the state of Arizona. He has been involved in the development of Cinder Hill Interface Protection Association, and that was actually the precursor to the Ponderosa Fire Advisory Council. And he's been involved in education and training in those areas as well. He's also been a vocal supporter and an advocate of the statewide mutual aid program, which was signed by the governor this past summer. And he has served on other state issues, including the Governor's Highway Safety Council. And prior to entering the fire service, Don Howard started his career as a trainer and an educator, teaching life skills in the middle school. I would like to recognize my friend Don Howard, Chief of Summit Fire Department. On behalf of the Arizona Fire Training Association and all of Arizona, you are now members of the Arizona Hall of Fame. Carol Gross. Ray Crabtree. And just so you know, and you can see the big board out in the registration area, but their picture is on a very nice plaque shaped like the state of Arizona, and that's what they get for award, and a plaque goes on the Hall of Fame board, and many of you may have already seen that out in the lobby. Now I'd like each of them to have an opportunity to address you. Carol.
Good morning. What a pleasure and what an honor this is. I used to teach school, and then I became part of the Phoenix Fire Department 25 years ago. And it had to have been the most incredible 24 years that I've ever spent in my life. Meeting all of you, being able to travel nationally has just been an incredible experience for me. I have to admit, when I started 24 years ago, not too many firefighters were involved in teaching injury prevention, fire and life safety. And that has so changed today. Each of you reach out to your community and teach these families and these children how to be safe. And it's just very nice to have been involved in that evolution. I thank you very much for your commitment to kids and to families and to your community, and thank you very much for this honor.
It truly is an honor. I want to thank Dwayne and John and Ron, Harry, and all the people associated and affiliated with this school. My school goes back to a guy by the name of Jake Sykin, who was really, I thought he was a Phoenix fire chief when I first started. But he ran the training for the Valley, and that's who we really got our knowledge from. I think every time that we attend something, if we have an opportunity to take something back that may be important to our careers and important to us as individuals, then we're lucky. I think it was my mother-in-law or somebody that said, you know, you only have one reputation. And when we look at where we are in the community and what we do, and the fact that the services we provide are so critical and so essential, reputation is important. And it isn't just the fact that we go out as individuals and have our reputation, we have the reputation of the organizations that we serve. And you know, I always go back to maybe an incident where you get a call and maybe it's a little lady that's called and thinks she's having a heart attack or something, and you respond and you get there, and all it is grandma's maybe just having some gas pains or something, and you know, that irritates you a little bit because, you know, you want to start an IV and give her some nitroglycerin and do all the neat paramedic things, and what she needs is a Beano or a Gas X or something like that. So maybe you're not as nice to grandma as you should be. Well, even though that's maybe just one call, that's not only a reflection on you, but it's a reflection on Mesa Fire Department. Harry, I need to use Mesa for a minute. So, for God's sakes, remember that when you know, your pillow needs to be soft. If you'll just think, if you can go to bed at night and your pillow's soft, you don't have to beat it into shape, or you don't have to do things that make yourself comfortable, then in fact you probably have done today what the people deserve. We all make great money. We have great jobs. You guys have the most challenging, wonderful jobs in the world. And it's so easy to be kind. And you're only going to pass through this process once. So pass through it comfortably, and pass through it kind, and do good. Thank you.
This really is an honor for me. I greatly appreciate it, but as I look out over this wonderful crew, and you folks do look marvelous today, I am amazed at yeah, maybe. You know, this life, as we travel through it, we've chosen this profession. And we have this great level of commitment and love and passion to our neighborhoods and to our communities and to our state and to this great country. I can't imagine a greater profession to be in, and I don't care if you're a wildland firefighter or a municipal firefighter, whether you're a volunteer or you're a career staff, we all do this together, and it's really a wonderful thing. At the Summit Fire Department, we have a motto, and our motto is that fire departments don't succeed, people do. And I certainly could not have succeeded without all of the help of the folks at Summit Fire, some of them that I've been with for 25 years, as well as my family that's been with me the entire step of the way. John F. Kennedy once said that what you want in the life of your country, you must first put into its schools. And I hope that you will take this passion over the next 4 days, that you carry with you every day, and leave here better professionally, to go back stronger and able to work at a higher level. And I thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are certainly very worthy recipients. The public education program in the state of Arizona would not be the way it is today without the forest carving efforts of Carol Gross. The paramedic program, due to the commitment of Chief Crabtree, and the wildland fire community and the statewide mutual aid program through the efforts of Don Howard. Very worthy recipients. Thank you all. At this time, I would like to introduce the president of United Fire Equipment Company from Tucson, Dan Matlick, who will be now telling you who the Firefighter of the Year is. He's much more flamboyant and dynamic than I am. I always wait for this part of the day.
Thank you, Ron. It was only 5 a.m., but it was already clear that this wasn't going to be just another ordinary morning. Just 2 days earlier, the United States had suffered a severe blow and experienced one of the darkest moments in her history. Less than 24 hours had passed since the president signed a declaration of war. Now, an ordinary man surveyed the death and destruction around him as he prepared his crew to be deployed on a last-chance mission to prevent further destruction. He had to struggle with the knowledge that his next victory could lift the spirit of a nation. A loss would leave America's coasts vulnerable to an invasion. He was considered a no-holds-barred fighter, a tough guy. He went into every battle with the determination and the commitment to win. And this morning, he did the same. He used every acquired skill and strategic move he had ever learned through mentors, schools, and experience. He knew confidence was low, but this did not deter him as he began his journey to help protect our homeland. Each victory, even small ones, boosted morale. He, however, did not stop and continued to hammer away with dogged determination until our great nation was eventually able to gain control again. When he returned home, he was sometimes given to spontaneous bursts of standing ovations and glowing words of admiration from the public. This embarrassed him. And often, instead of a requested speech, he found his emotions overflowing to the point of only being able to say how proud he was of his fellow soldiers. He was admired by a nation, but never felt deserving. Once at a reception in his honor,
A woman reached out and touched his hand. She then exclaimed that she felt as though she had been touched by the hand of God. As the woman walked out of hearing range, he turned to some of his officers, laughed aloud, and said, "Did you hear that idiot?" Although many of them would have agreed with her, this man never doubted that he was a mere mortal. He was considered by every American a hero. However, he kept his feet firmly on the ground throughout the experience. The man's name was Vice Admiral William Bull Halsey, awarded the Distinguished Service Medal and considered the first naval hero of World War II. Admiral Halsey's conquests are known throughout history as a turning point in the war. Halsey knew his battle fleet was going to be the last line of defense between the Japanese attackers and our country's west coast. And it was this extraordinary responsibility that drove him to be triumphant. Applauded by the public and revered by the men that served under him, he summed up his heroism with a comment that solidified his humble image in the mind of the American public. There are no extraordinary men, just extraordinary circumstances that ordinary men are forced to deal with. A great man with a life filled with great actions. But it is this profound quote that sticks in the minds of many of us. I think this is because it is just so true. And not just with the connection of military service. This quote says so much about ordinary people that serve the American public each and every day. Each year, Arizona firefighters prepare themselves for the unimaginable. Each year, the traditional role of the firefighter evolves. Fire investigation, EMS, hazmat, fire prevention, technical rescue, wildland firefighting, and now first response to the growing threat of terrorism. These heroic men and women of the fire service use their acquired knowledge, expansive experience, and determined commitment to handle the unexpected and unimaginable. The world has been grateful for a millennium for those individuals who fought with the Maltese Cross on their chests. The United States has been grateful for over 2 centuries for our American heroes. And for the last 10 years in Arizona, I've had the privilege to stand here before you to honor men and women who did not think of themselves as extraordinary. However, each of them waged the war on fire in their own unique way, with the excuse that they were just doing their job. Mark Freeman was our first honoree in 1994. He was honored along with William Ferguson, Terry Self, Gabriel Madrano, and Andrew Miller for saving the lives of individuals in life-threatening situations. Our other winners, Ward Fleger, Don Zucker, Eric Rotter, and last year's Manny Ayala, were honored for their dedication to the fire service and committed volunteerism to the communities they serve. Armed with the knowledge of those honored in the past, selecting an outstanding individual from the potential candidates for this year's award was no easy task. We were looking for a firefighter with great character, one who exemplified the life of a firefighter. To select the winner, we turned to the distinguished group of chief officers from around the state to make certain that their decision would be based on merit alone. All identifying remarks to names, gender, or department were removed from the nominations they reviewed. I would like to thank our judges, Bill Miller, Al Pesqueda, Mike Eno, Chuck Osterman, and Al Gameros. Again this year, our many sponsors have generously donated a variety of great prizes for our winner. PGI Rocky Dynamics, Paul Conway, Lion Apparel have donated head-to-toe protective clothing, including custom turnouts and brush gear. Bash's Markets, Elkhart Brass, Amerex, Ansel, Honeywell Fire Department, and many others rose to the occasion and made generous monetary donations to enhance the award process. We also have a mountaintop getaway from the Jim Click automotive team, NASCAR tickets from PIR, and a Diamondback baseball extravaganza, courtesy of the Arizona Firefighters Association. And as always, the winner's department will receive $500 in equipment from United Fire. I would now like to tell you a little bit about this year's winner. Our 10th annual United Firefighter of the Year Award goes to Rick Lupe from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Fort Apache Station. I'd like to think Rick would have been embarrassed with this honor. He was uncomfortable with praise, considered a quiet hero. And of course, he would say he was just doing his job. He took the threat of fire personally, and he fought his war on fire many times in Arizona. He was compelled to become a lead forestry technician by his concern for his family, his friends, and the land he considered sacred. The most memorable, and what cemented his name in the mind of the average Arizona citizen, was his heroic efforts during the Rodeo Chetasky fire. This fire consumed 469,000 acres and caused the evacuation of 30,000 people. It was certainly a dark time in the history of Arizona. Along with his fellow hotshots, Rick Lupe is considered to have saved the town of Show Low. Similar to Admiral Halsey's plight back in 1941, Rick knew the fire line in Hop Canyon was going to be the last line of defense, and he fought tirelessly, using his legendary intellect and skills for every inch of land. Rick was honored for his bravery and relentless determination. Through it all, he took little credit for himself and often turned the attention to the work of his team and the hundreds of other firemen that all worked together to bring this fire under control. Rick's last fire was the Sawtooth prescribed burn. Although finding himself in extraordinary circumstances, he radioed for his crew to get back to the black, a safe place to protect themselves. Unfortunately, that fire took his life on June 19th of this year. He fought the injuries he sustained from that fire for 5 weeks, longer than anyone expected, longer than anyone could imagine. We aren't the only ones who sees Rick as a hero. The United States Congress passed a congressional resolution honoring him for his long and essential service in fighting wildfires and caring for the environment, and ultimately sacrificing his life for the people of Arizona. At this time, I would like to invite Rick Lupe's wife, Evelyn, and their 3 sons, Sean, Daniel, and Brent, to come up to the podium and accept the 2003 Firefighter of the Year Award in Rick's honor. Courage is grace under pressure. Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details, how he lived and how he died, that distinguishes one man from another. Rick's life is distinguished, and he will always be remembered as an outstanding representative of the Arizona Fire Service. In consideration of Rick's recent accomplishments and longtime commitment to the preservation of life and property, I am honored to provide you, along with this beautiful symbol of excellence, a whole bunch of prizes and this check for $1,000. Rick will always be remembered for his accomplishments as a firefighter, as well as a father, a husband, and a friend. Thank you for allowing us to honor him here today and for sharing this special occasion with us.
This is far more the toughest thing I've ever did in my life. We really miss our dad. He was a good man. But the memories we will always cherish. There's not a day that goes by without thinking about him. I know he's still here with us. Maybe not physically, but spiritually. There's days when I don't know what to do. I always talk to him. Why do I do this, Dad? Help me out. And somehow he does. I do see a sign sometimes, or he gives me a sign. It is hard, but I like to thank all the people in the convention center, the ones that are putting up the school. Thank you for remembering our dad in this way. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Our future and the future of coming generations will be determined by how ordinary firefighters like you respond when tragedy strikes. Tasked with the extraordinary duty of protecting our homeland, being a firefighter is among the world's most noble and enduring professions. May it also be one of the most respected. A millennium, a century, and a decade. Time marches on for those of us with causes to fight for. We at United Fire will march forward with our respect and honor for the fire service. Please stay safe, and remember, life safety is serious work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We appreciate your support. This year, the Arizona chapter of the International Association of Arson Investigators is going to make their presentation of the Fire Investigator of the Year award. It's for the first time that they've done that at this assembly. And I would ask that Will Loesch and Darrell Rayburn come forward and make that presentation.
Thank you, John. As in our profession here, we always say we get no respect. As you know, fire investigation is part of our service. Some of us overlook it. I've been in the fire service now going on 15 years. I started out as a reserve, worked myself up through the shift, and now I'm doing the fire investigations. Unfortunately, we're not heroes in the sense like you guys are. We don't go put the fires out. Some of you do in smaller departments. But we end up staying for days, in some cases, looking through black stuff, trying to find out why that fire started and why that person lost their lives and how we can help our communities and keep other people from getting hurt and injured from this. So in our association, we have a group of people who have to do many things. We got to know about fire. We got to know about its behavior. We got to know how you put the fire out and how people react with fires. Are they playing with matches as a child does? Or is it an individual who is trying to burn down their house or their car to receive money because they're poor or they have a bad habit that they must support? Arson is now being called fire investigation because it's gone beyond the realm of being criminal. It's beyond that. It's beyond what's called now the money side, where we have to make sure that we as fire investigators and you as the fire department protect items so we can find out if that item needs to be investigated for more thoroughly. For example, Mr. Coffee of several centuries ago, where we were having problems where they were catching on fire. And with that result, we have seen many improvements in our products. So fire investigation is a very important part of our fire service. And if you have a fire investigator and he's out there at midnight digging up the rubble, please go there and tell him thank you. Walk into his office, go offer your hand and give him a cup of coffee, because sometimes we're out there by ourselves. My colleague right now, he would have been up here doing the presentation, but he's digging through an apartment complex fire. He's been there 4 days now working in it. So it's a tiring, dirty job, and unfortunately somebody has to do it. Our association picks out a member of our own or within a government agency or a private agency that has gone beyond or added to the services he provides for his community or his business. And each year we pick one individual out that has done this. Again, we do a lot of training in that. They must keep up with that. This year we've picked someone who has worked with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. Over the last year period of time in which we pick our applicant from, this individual worked on a case that had international flair to it. He was working with the Auto Theft Department, believing that this individual was stealing cars and sending them out of the United States. He got involved because the individual tried to set a fire to a structure. With his good work and everything, they were able to keep this person from leaving the state by charging him with the arson and the intent to fraud the insurance company. Not only did he do this, but he had his other caseloads within the Sheriff's Department. He also became the sole investigator there for a while in the Maricopa Sheriff's Department, as his fellow colleague had changed jobs and took another position in the Sheriff's Department. So for a couple months there, he was doing everything. He was getting called almost like daily to calls. The individual not only thought that this was not enough, he decided he would go and apply for canine and arson dog handling. So now he has a new addition to his family. It's like having a new kid, I understand. And as you heard earlier, he's getting kind of antsy over there. Max is a new addition. He is a new dog available to all of the services here in in Maricopa County. He has been trained at the ATF as well as Jim. So we have a new addition. And this will be probably the first time we've had both applicants up here. I'd like to take the privilege as the incoming president of Arizona chapter of International Arson Investigators to introduce James McCarthy from Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. Jim is a detective. Jim is a detective with the department. I don't know if Max here will be a detective or not, get that promotion. But I'd like to remind you he's available for your departments. He'll be working hard times and many hours. Jim, I want to, on behalf of the association, I would like to present to you the Hugh G. Anderson Reward for 2003 for your dedication and professionalism with our department and the association. Thank you. Thank you very much. To try to speed this up real quick, Jim, on behalf of the the AAA Fire Equipment, Jerry, we have some equipment donated to you that will help you when you're at the scene. We've got boots, fire gloves, and some helmets to go with that. Again, I thank you very much. This is AAA Fire Equipment. We also figured that being how Jim has been working so hard and not taking any time for himself and his family, we have provided him a weekend up in Sedona at the new Amar Resort. This is a brand new resort up there. You'll have a weekend to yourself with your wife and Max, of course. Along with that, you're going to have to figure out how to use these two dinners we got for you. The 2 dinners we got for him also are from one of the finest establishments up there. One of them is a 5-star restaurant, and it's the La Verge restaurant from Sedona for dinner for 2. And the other one is a fairly new one, not real new, but the Enchantment. And both of these are about $300 worth of food.
Oh, good Lord, thank you.
So enjoy your weekend. And again, we want to thank you for allowing us to do this presentation. In the past, we were only able to go to the department and meet with that individual and pass it out. I think you need to see, the public needs to see that the individuals do participate and do things after the fire's out, when it becomes black and there's nothing there. Again, thank you very much. Jim, would you like to say something?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm speechless. And most of my friends and colleagues and partners know that I'm a man of few words. I want to thank the International Association of Arson Investigators for the Arizona chapter for this honor. I want to thank all the firefighters, public safety personnel. That's a great honor. I want to thank my new partner, Max, too. Thank you very much.
Speaking of friends and colleagues, all these honorees are certainly supported by a lot of folks that may or may not be in the fire service. And I know I don't have a complete list, but those of you who are stand, but I also know that Council members Steve Freight and Joyce Clark and Mary Lane Scruggs are here in honor of Chief Crabtree's induction into the Hall of Fame. And those of you who are here for Carol Gross and Don Howard, could you please stand also to show them that you're here for them as well. Thank you. Our next presentation is the Arizona Fire Trainer of the Year, and I would like to ask Tom Hand. You can recognize him. He's the one in the skirt who plays the drums. And Chad Anderson from First In.
Hey. Good morning. Anybody have to go to the bathroom? Hey, try it with a kilt. Okay, I know we're running a little late, but there are some important things that had to be done this morning, and this happens to be one of them. This is probably one of my highlights of serving as president of the Arizona Fire Training Association. When we get together at this conference, fire school every year, and I get to make a pretty worthwhile presentation to someone deserving of an award. This year, our association, the Arizona Fire Training Association, has once again, we kind of went over the edge a bit. We've been known to do that. We've been known to fall off the edge. Our recipient this year of the Fire Trainer of the Award is not at the present an active fire instructor. So how can this person receive this kind of an award? This is a Fire Trainer of the Year award. Well, the answer is pretty simple, and I would ask you for a few minutes here just to follow along with me. Our winner is a lifelong resident of Arizona, which I can't say, but I can say it about this person, with a varied career in the fire service. This person began a career in 1989 as a U.S. Navy firefighter and was involved in the Persian Gulf War. Our winner was a member of the Flagstaff Hotshots, the White Mountain Apache Fire and Rescue, Timberline Fernwood Fire District, and also has served as an engine captain in the Tonto National Forest. This person is a member of the Arizona State Fire Training Committee, a former board member, and a current active member of our association, the Arizona Fire Training Association. It's with great pleasure, and I truly mean that, it's a real pleasure that I present this year's recipient of the AFTA Fire Trainer of the Year Award to Corey Kirkpatrick. Corey, if you'd come up here. second. See why I like this job? Anyway, let me continue for a second. The convincing element that we agreed to give Corey this award was her never-tiring effort to get the Arizona Wildland Fire Training Academy up and running in the state. Corey traveled to Colorado, Texas, and New York to 5 different academies to learn how they were organized and run. She was a charter coordinator for the newly implemented Wildland Academy in the state of Arizona, which took place in March of this year and was an extreme success. As part of the academy, Corey served at all the instructor needs, handled curriculum management, and served on a command team. She coordinated all the instructional classes. The impact of Corey's commitment to this project was tremendous and gained the support and recognition of the Arizona Division of Emergency Management, the Arizona Fire Marshal's Office, the Bureau of Land Management, the Arizona Fire Chiefs Association, the Arizona Fire Training Committee, the Governor's Office, and of course, her home organization, the Arizona Fire Training Association. Corey's contribution to the Wildland Academy in Arizona was a significant milestone for Arizona in the fire service. It impacted the city of Prescott and other communities as well. The Wildland Academy is fast becoming a premier training opportunity and will continue to prosper thanks in a large part to Corey's efforts. Although Corey's not an active instructor all the time, she is certainly qualified for this award. It is not always about the teaching, but what is involved to make good teaching possible. Congratulations, Corey. She kind of looks happy. I don't understand that. At this time, I'm going to ask Chad Anderson to come up from First In Incorporated, who is our proud sponsor, and we are so appreciative of that sponsorship. And I believe he also has a presentation for Corey at this time. Chad?
We just want to congratulate Corey on a well-done job setting up this school. I think it's benefiting a lot of firefighters throughout the whole state, so congratulations. With that, we want to present you with a check for $1,000 to maybe get some time off and go do something. There you go. Congratulations.
So where's lunch? I said, where's lunch?
I don't know, but I gotta pee.
Okay, well, you're not alone. I'm sure you have a few words. I'm sure it'll be a few words. Corey, I'll turn it over to you.
In 1997, I attended my first Arizona State Fire School here, and it started in this room, and I have not missed one. This is my 7th consecutive State Fire School, and it's a really big, important piece of my heart. And really quick, I just want to say that my passion for training comes from the instructors that I've had in my career. And I just want to thank a couple of them: Marilyn Price, Pat Hensley, Tim McElwee, Patrick Reynolds, Frank Drew. I can't name all of them that have had an impact on my life, but all the instructors that we come across every day make an impact. I want to thank the Arizona Fire Training Association and First In and Arizona State Fire Training Committee that voted me on to their committee in June. And I think from day one that I sat in this audience, I wanted to be a part of that group up there. I want to thank the other academies that have, from Colorado and New York and Texas and Utah, that have taken me under their wing and guided me into bringing you the best training that's possible. I want to thank Don Howard. I want to thank the Wildfire Council. I want to thank my family and my husband. I've been given a lot of advice in my life. Some of it's good, some of it hasn't been so good. But there's 2 things that I did learn
And one of them was to stick with the winners. And I make it a pretty good point every day to do that. And the other thing that I've learned, and the advice I was given, was that you can't keep it if you don't give it away. All the life experiences, all the fire experiences, all the training that we've had, those people eventually go on. And we need to pass on our experience, our knowledge, skills, and abilities with those coming up in ranks. And my personal objective, my personal mission with the Arizona Wildfire Academy is to provide that training to the students that come, that when the time comes, they will make the right choice in an experience they're having in fire and be able to go home every day. My hope is to not ever have another memorial tribute, another memorial pin, another memorial foundation, another memorial statue. And I think that we can make steps toward that safety through training and education. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think you all agree we have a very worthy candidate and a recipient here. On behalf of the Arizona Fire Training Association, thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Have a great school, learn a lot, take it home, and use it. Most of all, be safe. Thank you.
Much better than I did. We had 3 in there holding me up. Okay.
I have a standard. That has changed, yeah. Okay, just I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get... Excellent. Okay, guys, this is my job. Okay, everybody this way, please. I appreciate it. Everybody this way, family. You guys can choose. Okay, right. That's right. More memory, huh, Rick? And here we go, people. 1, 2, and... Son, you gotta look up here. There you go. And now. Look up here, son. There you go. You're good looking. We want to take your picture. Okay, everybody this way again. Now. Okay. Max now, swing out.
Okay, good. We got a, yeah. Get the whole gang in.
The whole gang in.
Look over here.
There you go, perfect. You can tell if you're not being able to be seen when whole headshots in. Step in it again. There you go. All right. Cheryl, over here.
1, 2, 3. We keep, you guys, people photograph if you like. Okay, one more time. Okay. Okay.
Down a little bit.
A little bit down, dear. Okay.
That's
And everybody this way. Everybody this way. 1, 2, 3.
Well, today marks the first day of Arizona's next fire school, but it's also a time to remember those killed in the line of duty. More than 1,200 firefighters attended the ceremony at Mesa's Centennial Hall, which was also an opener for the fire school. The Firefighter of the Year award went to Rick Lupe. He died back on June 19th from injuries that he sustained during the Rodeo Chetasky fire. And since he was not able to accept the honor in person, his wife and 3 young sons took the stage in his place.
He was a good man. But the memories we will always cherish. There's not a day that goes by without thinking about it. I know he's still here with us. Maybe not physically, but spiritually.
Well, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with his family. The 30th annual Arizona Fire School runs for 4 days and will refresh firefighters in life-saving skills, including live fire rescues, emergency vehicle driving, and hazmat response.
This is ABC 15 First News at 5.
He's credited with saving the town of Show Low during the Rodeo Chetasky fire, and today firefighter Rick Lupe is honored as Arizona's Firefighter of the Year. Lupe's widow Evelyn and their 3 sons accepted the award on his behalf. Rick was killed, actually died from burns that he got while he was firefighting on another fire. He was remembered as a man who sacrificed much to protect his family, his friends, and his community.
Courage is grace under pressure. Every man's life ends the same way. It is only the details, how he lived and how he died, that distinguishes one man from another. Rick's life is distinguished, and he will always be remembered as an outstanding representative of the Arizona Fire Service.
Rick Lupe was 43 years old and served in the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Apache Station.
This is CBS 5 News, your Valley News station.
All new this morning, firefighters from across the state are honing their skills at the Arizona State Fire School. More than 850 firefighters will attend classes and learn new techniques at the 4-day school in Mesa. Classes include swift water rescues, extrications, and fire investigations. Yesterday, the late Rick Lupe was chosen as Firefighter of the Year during the school's opening ceremonies. Lupe died June 19th, 5 weeks opening ceremony.